Now, Caesar's caught in a pretty brutal bind. Now let's get back to our hero of the episode, guys, Julius Caesar. I'm not going to talk about his early life and fleeing from Sulla or the pirates, even though what he did with the pirates was pretty amazing. I'm going to be talking about what he did from 63 BC onwards. So he's now 37 years old. He stands for the praetorship, and also in that year becomes the Pontifex Maximus. That is the head priest of Rome. This is pretty important. It's not, it's a post that you can also kind of win in terms of an election when it's available. Unlike the magistrate offices of the Senate, you are not going to get, you don't have to surrender it after a specified amount of time. It's yours till death or till you get voted out or exiled or such. Now, Caesar made quite a name for himself. He bribed a lot of people and conducted judicial proceedings pretty aggressively. And even though people alleged that there was like in a lot of bribery, it wasn't enough to even convict him. And some are even suggesting at this time itself, 63 BC, Pompey has underwritten Caesar's bribes for his praetorship, because Caesar was standing in contention against Quintus Lutatius Catullus, who Pompey personally hated. So, one of the best things of Roman politics, just how much they dislike each other as well. Now, after the praetorship, Caesar is given to gets to govern the province of Hispania Ulterior. Now, this is where you know he starts his military campaign. Now, it's nothing like extravagant or such. Even though he has the veteran seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th legions there, which will later be given to him, he has to not only extort the people for his bribes that he paid out right during his elections to get elected as aedile, the expenses, and then for the Pontifex Maximus and such. He also gained some military glory against the Lusitani and the Calesi tribes, and he subjugated them. And he also got the Roman troops to the Atlantic coast. So he plundered this region enough that he could pay off all his debts. So yes, Caesar's no longer bankrupt. Now, he then was acclaimed as imperator by his soldiers, and in summer of 60 BC, he heads home. He's now 40 years old. Now, this is where we see some of the shenanigans of politics coming into play. Caesar, while he was um, campaigning in Hispania, is able to get a special dispensation that will allow him to run for the position of consul 2 years before his eligibility. He's 40 years old. He cannot run for it yet. He has to be 42. In the past, when you broke this rule of the consulship, it generally was during emergency wars and such, right? Like during the Cimbrian War, Second Punic War, where these requirements would largely now this kind of like was granted to him, which kind of shows how the Roman Senate is starting to break down the if you're just gonna give a guy who at this point has not really achieved much in his career this dispensation. And he now comes and stands outside the city of Rome. So he is outside the boundaries of Rome, because his soldiers have acclaimed him as imperator, which is a great title and honor, and he was granted a triumph. This is a massive honor that any general can have. But here's the catch: he cannot enter the city of Rome as an active general. The black Pomeranian line that we can see here, you're not allowed to cross it if you're an active serving general. You will be allowed to enter on the day of your triumph. Now, this is really important because uh, the conservative bloc, the optimates, or the people who were opposed to any radical reforms that Caesar and the popular faction of the masses were doing, which is led by Cato the Younger, they did not they realized they need to sabotage Caesar, because ultimately what he does is sabotaging him. he pushes back the declaration of sorry he pushes back Caesar's triumph march after the deadline for the declaration of the candidacy for the consulship. Now, Caesar's caught in a pretty brutal bind. Refusing a triumph is a major decision to make because triumphs are not just awarded like later how Augustus and some of the Roman emperors would do. It was a matter of great prestige. But if he wants to, because the Senate also grumbled and got pissed off with him when he requested to be declaring his candidacy in absentia. Now, if they did not want to let him run for consulship and do this, why did they even grant him that dispensation that he can legally stand for the consular elections this year, 2 years before his eligible time? Right? It's pretty much obvious what is going on over here. Caesar makes the pretty brutal choice. I mean, I won't call it brutal, but personally, it's pretty brutal and difficult. Is he renounces his army command, so he is now a private citizen. He crosses into the city, goes to the forum, and on time declares his candidacy, which I'm pretty sure pissed off Cato to no end because he thought Caesar would probably not do it. And this is at around this time, the late 60 BC, and a group of Roman senators came together. We know them today as the First Triumvirate. Greg, would you like to maybe talk a little bit of its other members and what they had been doing in the build up to 60 BC and whatever their achievements and I'll call them grievances they have with the Senate?